This podcast is sponsored by funkytshirts.co.uk. I didn't see that. Is that what he did? He took his chewing gum and gave it to his wife?
Well, it's not. He threw it at his wife. He spat it onto his hand and threw it back to his wife.
Like that? Or just sort of tossed it to her?
Behind him.
That's because of the character. He's tossing all the time. Hello there, and welcome to More Movies Podcast, number 69.
That's a 6 and a 9.
Welcome to the podcast where we like to talk about the films we've been watching, anything movie-related, cinema, Hollywood, all of that shiz. My name's Greg Fisher. I'm joined as always by my good friend and colleague, Mr. David Roberts. How are you doing this week, Dave?
I'm doing great. Lots of great movies watched. Spring is upon us, and the weather's lovely here in the UK for once. And so it's a really great time to get another podcast underway.
Absolutely, sir. So this week we're going to be talking about Mickey 17, Anora. What else? A couple of other movies.
A Real Pain.
Real Pain
in the... And we're also going to be talking about The Brutalist.
And The Brutalist as well. Brilliant. Let's get straight into it. Okay, first movie on our list is Mickey 17. It's the one we've watched most recently. This is directed by Bong Joon-ho. It stars Robert Pattinson as a clone. Kind of a sci-fi, dystopian comedy, satire. I would say this is a satire.
It definitely is.
Science fiction black comedy, as it's been described in some areas. It also stars Naomi Ackie, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. It is based on a novel by Edward Ashton called Mickey 7. So there's 10 more Mickeys in the film, apparently. So there we go. That's pretty much a little bit of background on it. As far as the story's concerned, like I say, he's a clone, or he's just a normal guy, but he puts himself forward for a program where he'll be cloned because he'll be put into different situations in space travel where he'll probably get killed, but they'll get results from the tests and stuff that they're doing at the time. And then the very next day, he'll get printed again, like a 3D printer, basically, literally. Just comes off this printer, doesn't he? And obviously, when we get to the 17th iteration, things go a little bit different, a little bit awry. In other words, he doesn't die when he's supposed to. And then Mickey 18 gets printed. So we got two Mickeys going on at the same time. To say anything else might be a little bit of a spoiler. I'm not sure whether we're doing spoilers on this one or not. But let's just see how we go. Maybe spoiler or no spoiler. Who knows? You're taking the chances with us.
Both at the same time.
We try not to spoil these things for people, but, we're not always successful in that endeavour. So, yes, Dave, would you like to give me some of your thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, so interesting movie. Of course... Bong Joon-ho, most famous for...
Bong Joon-ho?
Bong Joon-ho, I should say, shouldn't I? Most famous for Snowpiercer and, of course, Parasite. Winner at the Oscars. Very great film. The central premise is around cloning. And there's a lot in there. Obviously, as we said, it's a satire. So this has got big, sweeping criticisms of capitalism, and it's talking a lot about. I guess this is most comparable to like the conversations nowadays about AI and stuff like this, and this is kind of like future sci-fi similarities because this is talking about cloning, Attack of the Clones, and we're talking about dehumanization and kind of what's one's self-worth and with that, because there's we end up with two Mickeys, you end up with this kind of existential conversation going on about what is humanity at that point, because lots of things happen between the two of them that's now I'm scared to die, because there's a part of that early on that's it's okay, I'll die, I'll come back out, I'll get printed again. But then suddenly it's I think I'm worth something now. And that's very interesting. There's a lot of kind of conversations about humanity going on there. I think a lot of what I was thinking, watching it, I just keep on thinking of Starship Troopers. Obviously, it's a very different film because this is far more serious, I would say. It is a dark comedy, but it's this isn't, Starship Troopers is very bombastic and over the top and all that. But it's about the same thing at its core, I think, in terms of demilitarization and conquering alien planets and all this kind of stuff, because that's the point of this mission, right? So yeah, very interesting kind of premises going on. My favourite performance is Naomi Ackie. I think she's brilliant as Mickey's girlfriend in this. And that's a big thread throughout the film. There's a big thread of love about it, which is actually, I never really expected that. I didn't think you'd get that in a film like this. I thought it'd be all about the cloning aspect, I guess.
Yeah.
But her chemistry with Robert Pattinson is fantastic. And as you say, as we get to the core part of the film where we get two Mickeys, what I really enjoyed, the best part of the film for me, is two Mickeys. They both meet Naomi's character in his room.
I know what you're going to say here. I know what you're going to say. But this is podcast 69, so you may as well.
69 is very suitable for this. The best thing about it is that we don't jump to some silly kind of like basic what would happen if there was two of you kind of thing. It's sex. The first thing we're going to think about is sex. And I loved that because it was like, that's so true to humans. It's exactly what we'd be thinking, like the most perverted kind of, oh, there's two of them. Let's have some fun. So I really liked that. I thought it was really real and made it a really interesting thing to explore. And then, of course, we get into the second half of the film, which is really about kind of colonizing the planet and other species and whether they're worth anything. And the best part of that is Mark Ruffalo, who plays the kind of captain of the spaceship they're on, in his great Trumpism, dictatorial, Scientology-based performance, where he's an absolute nut job who wants to do terrible things. But yeah, very interesting film with great performances. Gets a little bit messy near the end, a little bit maybe. But, you get a nice conclusion to it all, I think. What did you think?
Well, yeah, lots in there from what you just said. Just backtracking a little, I thought at first Mark Ruffalo was the one thing that was grating on me a little bit at first, but his performance kind of came into its own towards the second half of the film, and I suddenly went with it a bit more. But at first I thought everything else, like you said, is quite real and believable, but his character was so over the top as this kind of, like you said, Trump-style dictatorial little despot, that I thought, geez, he's really going pantomime almost on it. And Toni Collette's there next to him trying to rein him in a bit. The great Toni Collette. I absolutely love her. And don't get me wrong, I love Mark Ruffalo. I think he's a fantastic actor and a super cool dude in real life. He's the first one to lend his voice to the right causes, which I really respect him for, and it's great. So it's no wonder that he agreed to do a role like this. But at first I was thinking, geez, he's really, he's a bit over the top here. But by the end, you kind of think, no, I don't know, either he just sort of started to wear that suit quite well and it suited the character all the more as things went on, or I just got used to it, I don't know. But at first I was a bit grated by that aspect of it. But yes, it does talk about all those things and more. I mean, there's a lot going on in here, and one of the big things I got was, like you said, about the alien creatures on the planet that they go to, this idea of valuing life, no matter how different we might be. And it really talks about these sort of issues. Even, with Mickey himself, there's two Mickeys, but they're both wildly different. Mickey 18 is kind of nasty and got a sort of hard edge, and he doesn't mind trying to kill people. He's almost a little bit psychotic. Whereas Mickey 17 is quite sort of like, floppy and lovely, and he's not ever going to do anything like that. So that was an interesting thing, because it was like, hang on, these are both printed the same person, they've both got the same memories implanted. Why aren't they exactly identical, other than looking identical? Why aren't their personalities identical? So it's like with twins, isn't it? Identical twins could look exactly the same, but have very different character aspects and traits. So yeah, and they did the same with the aliens. I thought, there's I thought it was kind of, he does this quite a lot. I'd noticed Bong Joon-ho in his films, he got this idea of other creatures or almost animal type creatures having that sort of persona, a person, a human inside, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not talking about a human as in a man or a woman, or, you know, like talking as in a creature, a living soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like that side of it. There was one shot in particular where he sort of zooms in on the eye, and it's like an elephant's eye in a way. And there was, you know, that's what I mean about the humanity in it. And I kind of like that aspect to it. But it talks about a lot of issues. And like you said, the Starship Troopers analysis, I think that holds up. You know, even though they are different films, they're talking about the same sort of stuff in there. Humans just basically consuming everything, you know, and the kind of silly rules that come up, like the law that's broken in this is there's not allowed to be duplicates. So the fact that there's two Mickeys all of a sudden becomes a problem because it's against the law to have two, even though you can print as many as you like, you can't have two at the same time. Lots of funny stuff in there, you know, especially at first when you get to see him die so many times. And there's that one where they're going to throw him in the furnace and he's like, this guy's not even dead. Oh, it doesn't even matter. How about Stephen Yeun in there? Stephen Yeun,
fantastic.
Yeah. I thought he played a good role. It was nice to see him as that kind of like a bit of a son of a bitch. Yeah. He usually plays quite nice people, generally, you know. And in this, he was not.
No, and I mean, a massive shout out really to Robert Pattinson, because he's playing different variations, as you mentioned, of the character, where they're different, and all the different ones are slightly different because they mention it as well in it. Like he's like, oh, number 5 was this, and number 7 was this, and stuff. And he does a really good job of actually making that quite convincing, like in terms of, oh yeah, there is a difference in the personality, and he gives a performance to reflect that. I think the biggest criticism I could give it in that sense, talking about the Robert Pattinson, talking about Mickey, is that the fact we only get like 17 variations, and it's all that first kind of 30-40 minutes that does that kind of all the different ones. For me, I felt like there should have been like 1,000 of them. They've been on the spaceship for 4 or 5 years. Like I would have expected a lot more churn, and to really nail down that kind of thing of he's really disposable. You know, it's like I thought that would have maybe helped it a bit more, but yeah. A really enjoyable film in the end. I thought it romped away quickly. Yeah. It was funny. Lots of dark humour to giggle at. You know. I thought it looked fantastic as well. I mean, very.
That's what I'm going to say. All the technical aspects were excellent. The cinematography, the art direction, the mise en scene, the music was all really, really good. At first, Pattinson's accent, at first I was thinking, because it's a little bit like this, it's a little bit Yonkers, you know, and I was thinking, is he getting away with that? Okay, yeah, maybe he is. I got like with Mark Ruffalo's performance, I got used to it quickly, even though at first I was a bit like, but I so wanted to enjoy the film. You know, you just get past these little quirks if they're not clicking with you, so... But something you just said there about the different aspects of the character and the different Mickeys reminded me of that film Michael Keaton years ago, Multiplicity, where the character feels so overwhelmed by all the tasks he's got to do in his life. He starts to clone versions of himself, but they're all wildly different in their personalities. So I suppose it has that sort of aspect to it. I was reading as well a bit, there was some criticism that it was a little bit like a Studio Ghibli film. It was criticised by some people, and also the fact that it wasn't really it was considered a box office flop because
it bombed at the office.
It only took about made a profit of about 6-7 million or something, and that always stuns me because I always think, well, it made money, even if it's only 5 or 6 million, it made something. So I assume everyone got paid out of that budget, so your costs are covered. Why is it a flop that it only made a few?
It's because of Hollywood accounting, isn't it? So it's like in that figure, they're not counting the marketing costs and stuff like that. So actually, overall, it would have lost money for the studio. But
there we go. We go.
It's done badly, unfortunately, even though it's got great reviews. I mean, there's a bit of criticism out there for it as well from some corners, but on general, it's got good scores. But
Yeah.
just didn't perform well, unfortunately. But maybe it was too high concept. Sometimes with these things, especially sci-fi films.
You'd think it had all the right ingredients. So with Robert Pattinson being at the lead and Bong Joon-ho, popular filmmaker, you would have thought, you would have thought it'd done a little bit better. Maybe it was against other stuff at the time, but it's surprising how some films do and some films don't. And this,
it is,
like you say, though critically acclaimed, just didn't do so well at the box office. Maybe like us, people were waiting to see it at home.
Yes, yeah. We could see how it by the end of the year, see how it's done at that point, I guess. But yeah.
Well, there we go. Mickey 17. I thought it was a good film. Give it a thumbs up. Definitely would advise people to watch it if you enjoy that kind of movie. It's very entertaining. And yeah, good stuff. Okay, the next film on our list is Anora, directed by Sean Baker, who was basically the star child of the Oscars this year. Last time we were talking about the Academy Awards, and he basically swept it with this film, didn't he?
Yes, he did very well.
It won a lot of Oscars. It stars Mikey Madison and Yura Borisov, amongst other people. And it's basically about, I'm going to call her a sex worker because that's what they referred to her as when they were talking about it. She's a sex worker that gets in with a young Russian, I suppose, son of an oligarch, some sort of oligarch. They've got like hell of a lot of money, but they're over there in Russia, and he's been left in America to get up to his own nonsense. And she sort of gets in with him, and they get married. You know, a quick shotgun wedding, and then all hell breaks loose because when his handlers or his babysitters or bodyguards or whatever find out, and they're going mad. You can't do this. You can't do this. We've got to get an annulment immediately before your father finds out. And then it goes west from there. And ultimately, it's about her. I suppose, I don't know, naivety in the sense of getting involved with all this. And then there's that element of Yura Borisov, the henchman, bodyguard, whatever he is, that kind of falls for her. And there's a little bit of a connection between them by the end.
Yeah.
I personally didn't think it was a Best Picture winner. And all the Oscars it got, I thought were a little bit... I'm one of those. I thought maybe it's a good film. I enjoyed it, but I don't know if it deserved all that because it did sweep the board, really. And there was other stuff in there that I thought maybe deserved to get the Academy Award. But it doesn't mean I didn't like it. I thought it was a good film. She was really great in it. Considering I've only really seen her, she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She played one of those Manson creeps, the one that gets burned to death in the swimming pool, and I'm not sure what else. Maybe was she in the Scream movie?
Yes, the 2022 Scream.
Yeah, so probably seen her in that, but otherwise I didn't really know who she is. So she did really well. She was very good in this. She played the part perfectly, very believable. As I said to you at the time, I was expecting something where these young kids get together, get married, like a Romeo and Juliet, and then it's like they're going to be getting chased by the Russian oligarch / mafia type people, and they're going to go on the run together because love conquers all, and that's not what happens. It's a bit more realistic than that, in that the son is a little bastard, really, and he didn't really love her or anything, and he just married her because he was high on drugs, and he's happy to sort of get rid of her as soon as the parents come over and start wagging their fingers at him, which is obviously hurtful for her. So I suppose there was a bit more going on to it than I expected. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a, I'll not say action, but maybe a thriller where there was this kind of like love on the run scenario, which didn't really happen. So I was a bit shocked when I watched it. I thought, oh, okay. I mean, the first 30 minutes is pretty much bordering on softcore porn, isn't it?
It is. It was very enjoyable. For that, yeah, I mean, I think I expected it. I think like you for it to go in one direction, it didn't go there. That's not what the film was. But in a way, should have known better, really, because Sean Baker, looking at his catalogue, you look at the Florida Project.
Brilliant film.
Really enjoyed it. And also looking at Tangerine, which is about
sex workers.
Sex workers again. That was an interesting film because it was all shot on iPhones, which was very different at the time.
Yeah.
But very similar concepts in all his films seem to talk about sex.
I think Red Rocket as well is about a guy who used to be in the porn industry. So.
Yeah, so
I haven't seen that yet, but it looks good.
Yeah, and now I want to see it because
me too.
I'm starting to see more Sean Baker stuff. But if you look at those two other films and you look at this, it's like, okay, very similar, very naturalistic films. They're very realistic. The dialogue is very kind of it's that kind of mumblecore, realistic. How people talk. Plenty of kind of like silent moments. The camera works very voyeuristic in a way. Kind of it sits on that level of like following what's happening. But they're not films that necessarily are that happy. There's elements of happiness, of course, but it's certainly not a fairy tale. So I guess that's where this film goes, right? It's not like, oh, they fall in love and it's all going to be happy ever after. It's like, nah, this is all going to fall apart because welcome to reality, right? It's interesting, as you say, Madison, brilliant performance. And the one that she marries and is hooking up with, he's very good at being a little weasel because he's you basically, I guess at the beginning you see him and he's doing this whole kind of tough guy acting. Oh, look, I got all the money and trying to be cool to all his friends, but you soon find out when all shit hits the fan that he's just a little coward. And he is a little boy. But yeah, I guess the first half 30-40 minutes of the film where it's all happening and they're hanging out with his friends and all this kind of stuff. It's basically The Hangover. They're just going mad. It's like sex and drugs and going to Vegas and all the crazy stuff. And so it's all kind of a bit of a blur and a bit of... And then when, as you say, the handlers turn back up, that's when shit gets real. And it's like a totally different movie from that point on because it's like... Yeah, we're all this stuff that you think was happening to the Madison character that they say naive kind of like it's all wonderful. There's like no, it's not. Here we are. We're going to whip you away from it all, and it all turns into a bit of a very dark, melancholic kind of ending to it all. It's like piece by piece, it's all falling apart. Up until kind of near the end, I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff going on in terms of. It's obviously talking about oligarchs and wealth and power and all these different things. And I thought she was great. And then everyone was pretty good in it. It was telling an interesting story. But it just gets, for me, near the end, I was like, I'm not really... This feels weird now. I don't get it. But yeah, I agree with... we're talking about, obviously won Best Picture.
Best actress for Mikey Madison, best director for Sean Baker, best editor for Sean Baker as well.
Yeah, I don't think either. I mean, for best picture, I'd have gone for The Substance probably.
Yeah, I thought that was a much more challenging film myself, and I would have said Demi Moore for best actress as well.
Yeah, so I don't think it was the award-winning film that it's touted as.
Even though it was.
Yeah, but interesting, yes.
Yeah.
Did I love it? No.
No.
It was fine.
Fine. So that's a middle. Go see the Florida Project if you've never seen any Sean Baker films. That's the one that I've seen so far. It's absolutely brilliant. It is really brilliant. And this one, impressive, but not brilliant. More Movies Podcast is sponsored by funkyt-shirts.co.uk, a t-shirt design brand shipping internationally. Check out their extensive and ever-increasing catalogue of cool t-shirt designs that includes collections such as film and TV, retro comics, funny designs, and spooky t-shirts. All products are produced and shipped from locations as close as possible to the buyer's address to avoid extensive and unnecessary shipping costs, and all t-shirts are made in an environmentally friendly process. Keep it funky and order your t-shirts today. Okay, so the next film to talk about on this podcast is A Real Pain. This was written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg, which most people know as an actor from various films over the years, most notably probably The Social Network. He played that sort of Mark Zuckerberg character. This one has got Keiran Culkin in, who won a couple of Best Supporting Actor awards for his performance here. You can see why. We'll go into that. But it's basically about two cousins that go on a European trip to visit their hometown of their now deceased grandmother, because it was the last place in Europe that the family lived before they got chased out by the Nazis. Basically, is their grandmother moved to America. That's how they ended up in America, because they were running away from the Holocaust. So there's this whole backdrop of the Holocaust going on, is that they go to a concentration camp. They are on a tour with other people who were there for that reason. They have a tour guide to show them around Poland. And these two cousins, they're wildly different. Eisenberg's character is quite inhibited, and he's kind of shy and quiet and happy to go along with the consensus, whereas Keiran Culkin's character is the opposite of that. He's bombastic and outgoing and lively, but also has, big mood swings where he's up and down. So they make for an interesting dynamic, because obviously their history comes out in the course of the film. We get to find out what sort of happened between them over the years, and contrasts them quite well. So when I first heard about this film, I wasn't really mad keen on it, because I wasn't a massive Jesse Eisenberg fan in the first instance. And Keiran Culkin's okay. I watched all of Succession and thought he was great in it, but his character is such a shitbag, such a horrible, nasty little character, that I kind of thought, is he just going to be doing this? Is this going to be his shtick where he's just this and it's not the case. I'm glad to report it's not the case. He was more than that in this. And we just talked about Anora and the fact that we didn't think it deserved all the Oscars that it got, but I thought his BAFTA win or whatever, and Oscar win was probably well deserved, because he did do really well here. I was really impressed with Eisenberg's filmmaking. It's a very tight film. It's a very beautiful film, considering the subject matter. It's kind of just like a road movie. But he did a beautiful job of it, and I was really impressed with that, more so than I thought I would ever be. At first I thought, Jesse Eisenberg, okay. But I came out going, Jesse Eisenberg, yeah, man, this guy's made a great film here. And I think it is a great film. I think it balanced really well between that road trip comedy, but with the serious underlying element of the Holocaust, and what happened there, and how this has affected people and generations going forward. Had something to say, and I thought it said it quite well. Has moments of hilarity, make you laugh out loud. Has poignant moments that can leave a lump in your throat as well. It's some quite sad stuff in there in terms of Culkin's character. He's kind of a troubled young guy. And before I hand over to you, I would say this is like, for me, at the end of it, I thought it was kind of like Planes, Trains and Automobiles 2, the Holocaust reunion. That sounds terrible, but do you know what I mean by that?
Absolutely. It's exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. Planes, Trains and Automobiles, that's exactly what it is. And because obviously going back to Planes, Trains and Automobiles, that's a very poignant movie by the end, and you have that emotional weight to it, and that's what you have here. There's more in this, because obviously there's a lot more going on. But totally agree. I mean, I am a Jesse Eisenberg I've enjoyed fan. I've enjoyed his performances over the years. So, and I'd seen the trailer for this, and I was looking forward to kind of the opposite of you. But you got a chance to see it before me, and was like, and I was so pleasantly surprised when you'd said, "Go watch it. It's good. It's really great." So I was really happy with it. For me, it was kind of new for Keiran Culkin, because obviously I'd seen him in things like Home Alone as a kid. There's small moments, but not really seen much over the years. And I haven't watched Succession, so for me, it was kind of fresh for me to watch his performance. But I agree, it was fantastic. It's a very chaotic performance and a role to take on, because as you say, like he 1 minute he's like the life of the party and talking to everyone and hey, how are you doing? And the next minute it's him being a twat basically, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? This is like really hard to handle. It's fascinating because it's a buddy comedy. It's talking about it's funny, but it balances that line of being funny and then dealing with all these very deep issues throughout it. Not only is the Holocaust a kind of background to it, but it's not even really about that. It's about the stuff that's gone on in Culkin's character's life in relation to Eisenberg's character, and kind of the two different paths these characters have taken as cousins, where they've ended up at. We won't spoil exactly what's happened because that's the meat on the bones of the story, really. But it's very, by the end of the film, I'm sitting there with a lump in my throat going, Jesus, this is like,
It was that ending that really made me think of Planes, Trains and Automobiles in a way.
Exactly.
Like more powerful than I expected.
It was.
I was kind of expecting a little bit of an indie kind of road trip movie where there's two guys that are cousins and one's getting on the other one's nerves and there's going to be a big argument at some point. But it was so much more than all of that. Also, really, really nice as well to see Jennifer Grey in a movie again.
Yes.
Because I haven't seen her in anything for years. I'm sure she's done a lot of stuff and probably done, maybe, I don't know, some TV and stuff as well. But I hadn't actually seen her in anything like this for a long time. And I was like, oh my God, Jennifer Grey. I had a massive crush on her when I was Dirty Dancing and the rest of it. And it was like, oh my God, it's Jennifer Grey. It
was wonderful to see her. I don't think I've seen anything since Dirty Dancing, to be honest. But yeah, I think it's a film that there's so much going on. There's so many layers of things that start to unpeel. So yeah, as you say, you come in thinking it's a buddy movie and just kind of road trip and but yeah, every scene something else comes out and you start to be like, oh, this is really interesting. And there's a lot of philosophical kind of unpicking that's going on about, should we do this and even about just the fact that like the scene where they're in a graveyard and it's like, should we really be babbling on about history, or should we just be respecting the dead kind of thing? And it's interesting kind of things that start to be explored and unpicked in it, which makes it a really interesting film to explore, really, and is much more than just a buddy comedy kind of
oh god, yeah really successful in terms of it got a lot of attention over the award season. I'm not sure Eisenberg got as much as Culkin in terms of nominations and actual winning the awards, but he deserved to. And as I said, the filmmaking I thought was really admirable. There was some really beautiful stuff in there. So I have newfound respect for him so far. And yeah, Culkin definitely deserved his accolades.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was such a refreshing performance. And I saw him winning the awards and thinking, oh, that's interesting, he's winning the awards. Why is that? And then to watch it, you go, bloody hell, yeah.
That's why. Yeah. I'd say thumbs up, definitely see it.
Definitely.
Well worth investing some time in and watching it, and you might be pleasantly surprised as we were. Okay, we're on to the final movie we're going to talk about in this podcast, The Brutalist, which was directed by Brady Corbett. It stars Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce. Was a big heavyweight in terms of this year's awards. We didn't get to see it till right up towards the Oscars because they didn't release it over here till much later. So
yeah,
one I regret not seeing on the big screen might have been really nice to see on an IMAX screen or something, because visually it was an incredible film. It's about an architect from Europe, again, somebody escaping the Holocaust, as we've just been talking about with Real Pain, that sort of Holocaust element to it. So he comes over to America without his wife at first, family. So he's on his own, and he's, at first he's working for, I think, his relative in some sort of furniture shop, and they get to do this job for someone redesigning the library or renovating the library in this guy's mansion. And you can tell this guy, Adrian Brody's character's got a lot of talent and skill because of the way they do it. It's this modernist kind of approach to it. And then the guy comes back and he's furious at him, but it turns out that's Guy Pearce, and his character goes looking for Adrian Brody's character afterwards and says, actually, I want you to design me a church up on the hill and as a tribute to my dead mother or whatever. And then they go and they have this relationship that sort of goes from there, because it's not just about designing buildings. This is about a hell of a lot more than that. Long film, over 3 hours, epic. Had an intermission, for fuck's sake. What film has an intermission these days? This one had one. Lot going on in there. I've seen a lot of criticism for it as well. Some stuff that I don't really want to go into here on the podcast, because it's kind of like, oof, geez, we don't want to go there. But I enjoyed it, but not as much as I thought I was going to. Although I did enjoy it overall. It was an epic film. One of my favourite films is The Master, Paul Thomas Anderson, Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. And this it was giving The Master kind of vibes in a lot of ways. So it's that kind of film. Anyone who's seen The Master, that kind of epic drama, because that was, it wasn't L. Ron Hubbard, but it was a kind of a L. Ron Hubbard type character. Well, similar with this, he's not an actual character from history, but he is a amalgamation of different architects and stuff that came over from Europe, who'd studied at the Bauhaus and were very intrinsic in the Brutalist movement or the modernist movement of design and art. So like I say, it's got similarities to The Master in that way, especially between the relationship as well between him and Guy Pearce, Brody and Guy Pearce. There were similarities to be made there. Some similarities between Phoenix and Hoffman's character in The Master, I found. So over to you. I'm babbling.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because, as you say, I enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, but did I love it? No. The one point I made is, yes, it's got an intermission. I think more long films should have intermissions in it. It's the one thing I did appreciate, that it was like, all right, we'll chop this up a little bit. Maybe some of these 3.5 hour. I like a long film, but it'd be good to put little breaks in, like they used to. But with this, yeah, it was like 3.5 hours long. Oh, well, maybe not quite that long, but it's over.
No, it was 3.
It was 3.5 hours. Yeah. It's undeniably too long. It's way too long. It's got a very specific pace. It's really kind of going on there. And that makes sense for the film. But there's just shit in there that just goes on forever. Like, stop ramming the point home and just cut it out. Some of these filmmakers need to learn when to kill your babies, when to cut this stuff out, because we don't need... Here's the one thing about the film. They got this fixation on masturbation with him. And constantly throughout the film he's wanking. Now
this is podcast number 69, folks.
69. Again, they're trying to make a point about he's alone and isolated and frustrated, and he's trying to all this nonsense. But I don't need to see Adrian Brody wanking off 10 times in the film. Just do it once. Cut the rest.
I thought he did only do it once. I didn't see any of the other times.
Slow to, yeah. I mean, that beginning scene in the tunnel with the ladies as well. Like, it's just like, it's just too much. But there's you could have cut 40 minutes from this film easily, and
could have cut 40 wanks out of it. But
40 wanks out, yeah. So I mean, that's the biggest. It's very stretched in the end. So it's
maybe that's what they were trying to say with this film overall, that it's just a wank fest, and to make a 3.5 hour film like this and delve into so many things is complete wankery, and that was the point they were trying to make.
It could be. I felt though, like,
maybe it should have been called The Masturbationist.
The Masturbationist. That would make more sense. But I think the length of it, like, it loses momentum near the end. You get into the final act and you're just like, oh, jeez. Even though there's some really interesting things when you get to the end, that it's the real crux of the story. What we're really getting into is like, but by the time you're there, you're a bit like, oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the shame of it. Performances, excellent across the board, really. It's got some really interesting things to say about, like, the power dynamics and kind of xenophobia and stuff like that at the time, and commenting on religious aspects, because obviously he's Jewish and they're all Christian, and should he be doing this and all that. So it is quite interesting with what they're getting into. And as you say, visually it's beautiful. The cinematography is based on the Brutalist style. There's lots of kind of columns and stuff like that going on. It's like, oh, this is really nice to look at.
Won Best Cinematography Oscar, so well deserved.
Deservedly so. Yeah.
It also won, though, Best Picture and Best Original Score, and obviously Brody won Best Actor. How do you feel about those other?
Well,
would you say Best Picture?
No. The actor award, I don't think so. It's good performance.
What was going on with his speech? Why the hell?
It was just embarrassing.
It was, wasn't it?
I mean, even just throwing the chewing gum at his wife, like, going up was like...
I didn't see that. Is that what he did? He took his chewing gum and gave it to his wife?
Well, it's not. He threw it at his wife. He, like, spat it onto his hand and threw it back to his wife.
Like that? Or just sort of tossed it to her?
Tossed it, behind her.
That's because of the character. He's tossing all the time.
Now, when he came aboard, I'm sure it's all agreed that we thought he was a bit of a posh Tosca.
But it was just like, oh, this guy, come on, like, what are you doing,
The worst thing about the speech was, because, he did the whole thing, this is not my first rodeo, don't music me out. But what was he saying? It wasn't like he was getting to any point. He was just rambling. It was like, hang on a minute, you've had 7 minutes up here. I didn't.
It didn't impress me.
No, not one iota.
It certainly didn't make him likable.
No, certainly not.
So I bet his PR people were like, fuck's sake. The most intriguing part of the film for me is all the stuff with his wife, the kind of pain she's in.
I thought Felicity Jones was brilliant.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
She's not in it. She's referred to for half the film. You never even see her. Maybe a photograph of her, and that's it. And she's referred to, and you never see her. And then she turns up, and that's where the film really, I thought,
really gets going.
Get into some meat and bones of it all there. And she was
pain
great.
She's in every night and all that kind of stuff. It was really hard.
And I think as well, she's carrying this weight of what she's been through while he's already made it to America and has started to build this life. And what the hell has she had to go through in the meantime without him to finally get there? So, how about Guy Pearce? The guy is ace. He's such an amazing actor. I remember him as Mike in Neighbours all those years ago. And he's gone so far since then. Played so many different types of characters, and he's always really successful with it. Love some of the stuff he says IRL as well. He's kind of cool dude. But he kind of got a bit snubbed in the awards, and I thought he was brilliant in this.
He was great.
He was ace.
I think it's often these kind of performances get ignored now. It's a shame.
Maybe.
But he was, as always, he was great. He turned up, did the job.
Big time.
It's believable, you know.
Put a stamp on it, you know, because I thought his was the more interesting character in some ways because you couldn't quite pin him down. He appeared to, on the outside, to be this wealthy, almost a little bit eccentric kind of philanthropic type character, but he's actually a real bastard, a real son of a bitch bastard. And the way he's so good at hiding that, or, you know, and he's got this society around him that kind of would defend him to, you know, the last breath kind of thing. And that element of it was the most interesting for me, that whole thing, you know, where she goes to challenge them at the dinner party and stuff. And that was really like, wow.
It was interesting because it kind of came as a bit of, when that happened, it was like a bit of a, in some ways, a surprise. But then you reflect back on it and you go, actually, no, he's been a bit of, piece by piece, he's been unveiling the fact that he's a bit of a prick.
Well, he's the brutalist. That's how I saw it. Then it's Guy Pearce is the brutalist because, you know, you take it in that sense. Bloody
and
hell.
The end scene is just absurd to me. I mean, I don't even know why.
The last 10 minutes I felt like were, like you said, about kill your darlings and get rid of some of the stuff. That last 10 minutes especially, because it was almost selling it like it was a real person, a real character. So there was this 10 minutes at the end where, we give them these accolades and don't worry, despite what happened, they're still being recognised for their art. Yeah. And I thought, this is ridiculous. This is just a ridiculous moment in the film here.
You just don't need it. Yeah.
That's all. You don't need it because it was good enough without it. I think it would have been, like you said, a lot better film if it was 2.5 hours or 2 hours rather than 3.5, you know. Some stunning stuff in there. That cinematography definitely deserved it. The music, again, it won for Best Original Score. Definitely. There was some great stuff in there. Again, the brutalist music, you know, there's these long sort of brass notes that were coming in and really imposing over the top of the film were fantastic accompaniment to it. But I've watched worse films that were that long where you're just like hanging on by the end and go, God, please. I've watched a lot worse that were shorter than that. You know,
for sure.
I've watched 2-hour films that felt like 5 hours. This didn't feel like 3.5 to me. It was the last quarter of the film that really dragged. The rest of it, by the time we got to the intermission, I felt like it had gone quite quickly. But I think it's a bit of a slog.
Yeah, I think it's in the second half. Like it just feels quite repetitive. Some of the stuff is like this again. You know, and it's like but I think it's one worth watching.
No doubt, fantastic filmmaking. Brady Corbett, he's definitely, even though we need to rein it in a bit, he's obviously a great artist.
Yeah, but it just needs. But I think it's like one I'll watch. I probably won't watch again, but it's. It was an interesting film, and it's many good aspects of it, as we say. You know, performance-wise and story-wise, and it looks great and all these things. It's just a bit of a bad end. But,
I still say that The Substance should have won Best Picture.
Yes,
much more interesting and original film. But there we go. So that's it. What are we going to do with this one? I'm going to say I'm almost somewhere in between thumbs up.
It's between in the middle and thumbs up. If
you want to see Adrian Brody choking the chicken many times, watch this movie. So let us know. Have you seen The Brutalist? What were your thoughts? Have you seen any of these movies we've been talking about this week? Let us know in the comments your thoughts. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Are we completely off the track? Are we pretty much spot on? You let us know your thoughts. That would be wonderful. There we go. Right, that leaves us just enough time to thank you once again for either listening in or watching along on YouTube. We appreciate you, and it's great to see you. If you're visiting us for the first time, come back next time. You're always welcome. Check out our website, moremovies.co.uk, for a whole load of movie reviews, and all of our podcasts are, of course, listed on there. We've got all sorts of articles, top 5s, top 9s, top 7s, top this, that, and the other. best to worst, all sorts of stuff on there. So please do check out our website. We've had quite a few different articles go up recently of films that we've talked about on the podcast before. So if you want to go and read about Harry Palmer trilogy with Michael Caine, or what else is in there? Children of Men, a little article about Children of Men in there, and The Train with Burt Lancaster. Remember we talked about that? Fantastic. So plenty to see on the website. You can also follow us on social media. We mainly hang out on Blue Sky these days. We're Blue Sky guys, so come and join us over there, and all the cool people over on Blue Sky, mainly people who've left X and having a nice time over there. Also Instagram, you can join us on Instagram. There's a great crowd over there. Shout out to Movie Miyagi, because he's such a cool dude. I just want to give him a shout out. Probably never watches the podcast, but he's such a dude, I want to say. Movie Miyagi is the master. Follow him on Instagram.
Indeed. And if you want to listen to the podcast in audio-only format, we are available on all the major audio vendors. You can check us out with some links in the description below, but we're there on Spotify, Apple Music, all your places where you get audio podcasts. And we've got a Discord channel as well. There's a link in the description below to check that out as well.
And thank you so much to our regular supporters, Michele, Shayne, and thank you to Monica, who are supporting us either on Buy Me a Coffee or over on Patreon. You can sign up on Patreon and become a patron. So thank you very much to you three and anyone else who's supported us over time. Obviously, the best way to support us is give us a like, a click, a share, come and say hi. The interaction is really what we're after. But if you've got a little bit of surplus income and you don't mind spending it on young independent podcasters like Dave, because I said young, you see, and I thought I can't say that about me, then please spare us a couple of coffees and we will be your best friends forever. And that's about it, I think. Any final thoughts before we go, Dave?
Well, I think I just need to go and watch less films that are 3-hour wankathons, and check out some more movies for the next podcast.
What have we got coming over the next few months? What sort of stuff we got to look forward to?
Well, what is coming up? That's an interesting question, actually.
There's definitely one film I'm looking forward to, and you'll probably groan a little bit at it, but even though Marvel's slid down the pan a little bit these days, I am looking forward to seeing Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. Well, I remember the original,
yeah,
the original, but the 2004 whatever film it was.
The Fox ones.
The Fox one. So I'll probably watch it and see what it's like.
Yeah. Anything else you can think of that you're looking forward to the release this year?
Oh, I can't actually. I don't think they've really announced that much coming up. Hopefully there'll be some surprises. Usually from like A24 or something like that. So.
Absolutely. Plenty to see. I mean, there's plenty of films we have seen we haven't talked about yet as well, so there's no lack of content absolutely. There. But yeah, let us know what you're looking forward to for the rest of 2025, the big summer releases, and then going into the fall eventually. I mean, we're already in mid-April now, so we're cracking into this year. Plenty still to see and do.
Plenty to come.
No matter what you do, just keep watching more movies.
That's it for this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and remember to like, share and subscribe right here on YouTube. For more film reviews and articles, check out our website moremovies.co.uk, and join us on social media at More Movies For You. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all across the board. You know the score. If you enjoy what we do, please consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com or join us on one of our packages on Patreon. The links are in the description down below. And for more filmtastic content, click one of the buttons on screen now.